lot of things to talk about here.
All right, so we're going to do our quick first 2-minute interlude because we got a time crunch here, and away we go. Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Now, today's show is going to be fun because we have a guest we've had on a couple of times.
Yeah, we've had him on a couple of times, and we're actually going to talk sports business. We talk about sports business once in a while, but we really
really this time. Really?
Really.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, at each commercial break, and who is our guest?
Andy Dolich.
Andy Dolich, okay.
Yes.
At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. This theme today is going to be just miscellaneous sports again.
I like it.
You like miscellaneous sports, okay.
I think Andy will like it too.
Good. I'll bet let's see, will he know any of these answers?
I think he will.
Let's see, we got a golf one,
Yeah.
we got a football one, and then we got another golf one.
Oh.
One of the golf ones I know he'll know. That
Okay.
was pretty easy.
Okay.
All right, and at each commercial break, we're going to ask the sport trivia question. And
By the way, did you just get a haircut?
I did. I know my headphones can barely fit on my head.
Your hair is so short. I mean, I could not grab a little piece of it off your head.
I've got a business trip coming.
Yeah.
I got to fly out.
You gotta
Miami.
You have to look respectable.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. You can't look like me.
No. You're a fine-looking gentleman. And a
Oh, a little scruffy right now.
That's okay.
That's all right.
But I like it better without the beard.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like the beard. My daughter does. So I'm kind of having a tough time with that one.
Yeah, you looked a little bit too old. You're too young for that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are still currently yielding right around 8%, secured by mostly Bay Area, and when we say Bay Area, we mean the San Francisco Bay Area, real estate. And it doesn't get any more conservative than that. You got to check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. By the way, so far, no one has ever lost money in their fund.
Nice.
All right, they've done, and the company's done 1,200 loans, and only a handful have ever gone into foreclosure.
You're looking at me like you want me to sort of make the plunge.
The plunge. Well, I was going to say, let's see.
Gonna have to talk this over with my wife first.
Of course. All right, well, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. I'm not trying to sell you.
No, I'm just
having fun.
Just having fun. So how you been doing, Andy?
I don't know whether I should talk about a miscellaneous sport, take out a loan.
Yeah, exactly.
Or talk about your beard.
Mayor of Oakland.
There you go. Yeah, we're going to talk about Libby Schaaf. She's an interesting woman.
I love the word interesting. I don't know what that means anymore. So yeah, let's talk about the National Indoor Box Lacrosse League, the old NASL, International Poise, the croquet championship.
I like that.
Oh, fun.
Croquet championships. That's what I want to get into.
Actually, I got a fun.
I want to talk about the history of croquet.
Okay, that goes back a long time.
Yeah.
I got a fun, a small fun croquet story.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
That's right. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Bruce, who's on the phone?
Oh, we got a good friend, Andy Dolich, who's worked in the front offices of the Oakland Athletics, the San Francisco 49ers, the Golden State Warriors. Who am I missing, Andy? There are a couple other teams in there somewhere.
Memphis Grizzlies, the Philadelphia 76ers, Washington Capitals, the Maryland Arrows of your favorite National Lacrosse League, and the Washington Diplomats of the North American Soccer League.
Oh, you covered just about everything. How about hockey? No hockey?
Yeah, Washington Capitals.
Oh, that's right, the Washington
course.
Capitals,
Yes.
of course. What am I saying? Gosh. Well, of late, you've been working sort of independently, and the situation out here in the Bay Area is really interesting. For those that aren't following it closely, the Raiders are talking about moving to Las Vegas. The A's are upset because they haven't had a stadium plan for a long time, and they're really getting tired of waiting. And the Warriors say they're moving to San Francisco. What's going on in the East Bay Area?
They are moving.
Well, they are, but they haven't broken ground on the new arena. What is going on with all this stuff? Why can't Oakland get it together and keep at least two of these teams, Andy?
Well, let's take a step back. Having grown up on the East Coast and been a fan of the New York Knicks when they were actually great, and the Brooklyn Dodgers before they became the Los Angeles Dodgers, I think there's a positive, and that is if you look at the success that the Bay Area teams and many of their athletes have had, I'll make the argument that the San Francisco Bay Area is as good as any market in the country in terms of the way that its teams are performing. The magic of the Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, KD, the kind of turnaround of the Oakland Raiders in the last year, new buildings in Sacramento for the Kings, proposed new arena for the Warriors in Mission Bay, the Niners hosting Super Bowl 50, the Giants winning 3 World Series. As a college football coach once said, who's got it better than us? And I'll make the argument that the Bay Area is doing pretty well, and we also have tremendous success on the college side with Christian McCaffrey and many others. As it relates to billion-dollar venue monopoly, which is how I look at it, there is a thorny issue. I guess the good news is that franchises have shown that it's possible to build your own facilities. Jed York has done it with Levi's, Vivek Ranadive, and his partners, and it clearly looks like the Warriors, with maybe 1 or 2 more speed bumps, will open up a new fantastic arena in Mission Bay in 2019 or 2020. But if we look at Oakland, the Warriors look like they're leaving. And how ironic that there's only one location, I think, guys, that has 3 major professional teams playing on one footprint. That's the Oakland Raiders, the Oakland A's, and at least for the next few years, the Golden State Warriors. Now, let's take the Raiders first. Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. Everybody's talking about Vegas. And of course, how do you take away a game at home from some of the most loyal fans and go play in Mexico City? Maybe that's a point of conversation that we can have later about international expansion. Mark Davis has been unable to get the kind of deal that he wants in Oakland. He clearly has stated that he does not have the money. His family doesn't have the money to build a multi-billion-dollar stadium. And he has a deal on the table, if we can believe it, that Las Vegas, the state of Nevada, has approved $750 million, which is the largest single stadium level of support in sports history. Mark said he's bringing $500 million to the party. Sheldon Adelson, the head of Sands Casino, has talked about $650 million, but that's when this starts to unravel for me. Because Mr. Adelson, who's in his early 80s, is one of the most savvy casino executives in the country. And in my view, he's not dropping $650 million on a football stadium or the Raiders without having a piece of the team. And as you both know, Mark Davis has said, au contraire, I'm not selling any part of the Raiders. I mean, he does have, I think, 2 limited partners, but he's the majority. The NFL owners have to approve this. 24 of the 32 have to approve it. Some observers believe that there will be a vote at their January meeting, but it's not on the agenda, and they could basically delay. And who knows how those voters will vote. And just this morning, Libby Schaaf said that she has a framework of a deal for something relating to a new football stadium for the Raiders in Oakland with a group led by Ronnie Lott. Let's just kind of end this answer to the additional shakeups that the Oakland A's have made last week, where a longtime partner, Lou Wolf, is stepping back. Dave Cobble, the president of the San Jose Earthquakes, is coming in to be, quote, the new eyes on trying to get a baseball stadium built in Oakland. And I guess the good news is the Warriors are playing in Oakland, the Oakland Raiders are playing in Oakland, and the Oakland A's will open up their baseball season in Oakland. What happens after that, that's, I guess, what we'll be talking about.
Now, someone like Ronnie Lott, I mean, I don't know what his net worth is, but would he be, I mean, partly just the name, partly, throw a little bit, a few million in there? What do you think?
Well, here are the questions. First of all, we all know Ronnie Lott, and he is as high a quality a person as you're going to find. There's no argument about that. But the fluid that flows through the veins of professional sports is green. And in this case, as it relates to football stadiums, it's billions of green. Is that Ronnie Lott? Absolutely not. So if you look at the latest announcement that the mayor made, I guess, late last night or early this morning, Libby Schaaf, my questions are this. Who's the money? And once that money is identified, what piece of the Raiders does that person or institution want? Number two, what has Mark Davis said, and at least what I've seen before today's show, Mark Davis hasn't said anything other than, wow, we won a great game in Mexico City last night. What has John Fisher and the Oakland A's say? Because they have something to do with whatever happens at the Coliseum. And what is any public money? We know that Mayor Schaaf has said with absolute certainty there will be not one penny of the public tax spent on any stadiums. And what has Roger Goodell said about this supposed deal that Ronnie Lott has with Oakland? So I think there are more questions than answers. It's nice to say you have a framework for a deal, but let's not forget Floyd Peppard. Remember that deal? That went no place. And before that, I think there were two additional third-party developer deals in Oakland, but none of them got to the point of having any piece of either the A's or the Raiders. And until you see that, I just think it's another of, in my case, I believe it's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, I'll tell you how this is going to happen. Mark,
27.
you know what? Mark Davis will have Vegas in a bidding war with Mexico City to see who will host them. How's that?
Mexico City.
So I
Yeah.
agree with you. I was sort of amazed, and I watched the game last night and the run-up and all the media stories. I'm surprised that Mark hasn't come out and said, wow, Raider Nacion, Plata y Negro, right? Would that be silver in Spanish?
Oh, they'd love that.
I got to be in Spanish, but the Plata y Negro in Mexico DF. Why not?
Sure.
The NFL, and once they build the wall, the Raiders will own the country.
Well, it's one thing to play in. It's one thing to play in London, where it's such a long distance. But Mexico
City's not that far.
Not that far.
No,
Okay, so we're going to cut to our first commercial break with a trivia question. All right, and again, Andy, if you know the answer to this, don't answer until we get back from break. Who was the first golfer to win more than $1 million in official earnings in a single year? That's our question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to that question, and don't touch that dial. We're talking business, sports business on Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
What a novel idea.
Good stuff.
So how you been doing, Andy? All right?
I've been doing better than good. So I have 3 children. 2 of them have produced our first 2 grandchildren, both boys, within a month of each other.
Wow.
Fun.
And my other daughter, an identical twin, has now gotten into the race. She will throw a daughter into the mix.
Nice.
She just got back from 2 weeks in Tanzania and Kenya.
Wow.
So, I couldn't be doing much better.
That's great. Yeah, I was telling Edward I spent the afternoon with my daughter, who's 11. I'm an older dad, and she's got 2 of her little buddies. They're off school this week. So my daughter loves going to Japantown and going to the sushi places, and then going to the little, the little $1.50 stores and buying all sorts of,
Hello Kitty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then she likes to go to this park. It's so funny, Andy. This is something my daughter likes to do probably 4 times a year. It's just a regular thing.
Well, she's been well educated, and any young person that loves sushi is a friend of mine.
Well, she always knows which ones to pick. The only problem today was that she removed some of the innards of a piece of sushi and put wasabi in there, and then gave it to me and told me it tasted really good.
Oh, I've seen that.
Oh my God! I said, "What in the world did you do that for?" And she just was laughing. She thought it was so funny.
Golfer to win $1 million in a
year. Yeah, I got an answer, I think, but I'm not sure.
Question. What might seem obvious isn't obvious.
No, I'm thinking of somebody like Palmer and Nicholas, but I have a feeling it's somebody before
No,
that.
I don't. I'm saying that is too obvious and
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
I have to think about that.
Just go ahead and scan the email.
While we're speaking, Edward is signing some very important papers right now. So what you're not seeing behind the scenes is Edward, the businessman, wheeling and dealing.
Wiring lots of money out.
Yeah. Well, as long as you pay me the same as you paid in the other.
Absolutely. Not a problem. You know what? I got you the same Christmas gift too. Is that okay? That I got you the same Christmas gift I got you last year?
Get me a Hanukkah gift. They'll be even.
That's exactly.
There you go.
Get me eight of them, right? We get 8.
Yeah, that's right. I remember, I grew up Jewish, and remember, being jealous of all my friends until I realized 8 days, and I demanded 8 presents.
That's right, for 8 days.
8 days, that's it. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here is our first trivia question. Who was the first golfer to win more than $1 million in official earnings in a single year?
Well, Andy and I were both mulling that over, and I was thinking somebody like Palmer or Nicholas, but Andy said, no, he didn't think so. And I do have a...
saying Palmer, Nicholas, or Player, right? The big three.
What are those three?
That's too obvious.
It's too obvious.
I'm saying no. I'll go with somebody. It's got to be somebody more recent, but not that recent.
Yeah, that's
Tom Watson.
That's exactly
Tom Watson.
No, but
I'm going Northern California's Johnny Miller.
Ah, there you go.
No. Okay, I'll give you the year, 1988, and he won 4 titles.
1988.
I know you know the name.
John. No.
You ready?
Who?
Curtis Strange.
Oh my
He
God!
was the first one to win them.
I actually covered a tournament that he won, the Bing Crosby. He won a rain shortened Bing. How many Bing Crosbys were rain shortened, by the way? Probably half of them. Because they always used to have them in the middle.
What a perfectly strange question.
Yeah, that was. No pun intended.
That's right.
Everybody would have gone with the big 3 or somebody.
Sure.
There you go. Andy Dolich, by the way, is joining us. Andy is a longtime sports executive, has worked in the front offices of baseball, football, hockey, soccer teams. And Andy, we've been talking about this Oakland situation. It seems like the one team that is almost certain to stay in Oakland would be the A's, because there's really no place for them to move to. There's no city that has a suitable stadium for them to move right into. The Raiders seem more likely to go to Las Vegas. We know the Warriors, in all probability, are going to move to San Francisco eventually once they get this arena built. So the A's can just kind of sit there and bide their time, but I don't think they're too happy with the progress or lack of it of this new stadium that they've been talking about. What's going on with it?
Is 50 years old? Almost 50 years old.
I'm proud of what we were able to do in Roto-Rooter Stadium, which is my new name. I mean, and that seems to happen every once in a while. But seriously stated, some of the A's circumstances regarding their search for a new ballpark have been self-inflicted. If you look at John Fisher, who has been very, very quiet under the surface, Lou Wolf clearly was the spokesperson. Now, as we know, Dave Koppel, is coming in. Billy Beane has been the voice of the baseball side. But let's think about this. John Fisher is one of the wealthiest owners in Major League Baseball. He and Lou Wolf have done some incredibly exciting and profitable mixed-use retail, hotels, etc. developments around North America. And if you look at that footprint in and around the Coliseum, I happen to believe that it could be Mission Bay too. You guys know and remember that Mission Bay 16 or 17 years ago was like Chernobyl. Look at it now.
Well, don't tell me that, because I used to own a piece of. Do you remember across from Mother's Cookies? It was Sunshine Biscuits.
I do.
I owned a good portion of that. A 500,000 square foot building. It was a quarter-mile long.
And you sold it, right?
Yeah.
Didn't get enough for it though.
We did okay, but yeah, I'm sure it's not enough.
Should have hung on. No, well, I agree with you, Andy. What you're saying is
now I have to double my rate on this show.
Yeah.
But if you look at what's happened in Oakland, first of all, Northern California, the Bay Area, is hot as a pistol. You look at the growth. The Silicon Valley is everywhere. there's X, Y, and Z generations. Many of them are now living in Oakland because it's affordable.
Yep.
Oakland is cool. It's always been cool, but it's definitely cool now in terms of people moving into the city. And the fact that John Fisher, Lou Wolf haven't done anything about that is really a question. Now, there's been some talk about Howard Terminal over the last year or two, or more than that. But where are you going to find a better transportation central location than the Coliseum?
Yeah, didn't they talk about going to San Jose years ago? The Giants?
No, they talked about going to Fremont.
Fremont,
yeah. I mean, Fremont didn't work because they didn't have the connectivity from the Fremont Park Station to what was, if you guys remember, it was Cisco Field. Remember, they had a naming rights deal in a land swap with Cisco. They didn't handle the politics of that right, and they couldn't make the deal work. Then the Giants have the territorial right. They fought very, very hard. Commissioner Rob Manfred and Bud Selig before him said, sorry, you're not going to San Jose, so they redoubled their efforts in Oakland. And with the kind of net worth that John Fisher has, with the size of the market in the Bay Area, and it's been proven over decades that the fan base here can support both teams if they're positioned to win. Bruce, you know that in terms of the great teams that the A's had for many, many years in the 80s and 90s, and then, what they did for a year or two under the realm of Moneyball. But the A's have been very, very quiet. They moved all of their top-notch players, and they keep talking about the fact that they don't have the revenues to build the stadium. Well, they get a $35 million check from Major League Baseball every year in revenue sharing. In many instances, they make more money, net profit per year than the Giants. Fisher and Wolf and their partners bought the team for $180 million. Guys, what do you think they could sell it for this afternoon?
$750.
A heck of a lot more than 180.
Yeah. So they can keep the payroll down as they always have, and still do okay. Even of course, from the ego standpoint,
better than okay.
Yeah.
Better than okay from a financial sense. Now, we love sport. I think the reason to own a professional sports team is to get jewelry, hoist a trophy, and host a parade, right?
Yeah.
Anything else is not fun. Ask the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers, who are an astounding 1-20.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Browns and Niners are 1-20.
Didn't the 49ers win the first game?
They did.
Okay.
They beat the Rams, and they haven't won since.
That's pretty hard to swallow.
You got to work, by the way, with the 49ers for a while. Was that during, that was after the DeBartolo era, right?
2007 to 2010, as we were really looking at Santa Clara, trying to make the last few years at Candlestick as good as they could be. I really enjoyed my time there, but Jed took over as president and CEO, wanted a different management team in there, and when you have a disagreement with the owner usually wins. So I left.
Not to get off on a tangent about Jed York, but he's taking a lot of slings and arrows, and some of them are much deserved. What's your read on this young guy? Because I know when Eddie DeBartolo moved in as owner of the 49ers, he screwed up that franchise for a while until he lucked out with Bill Walsh. It seemed as if Jed York got a huge break when Jim Harbaugh was coaching just up the road, and he plucked him out of Stanford. What do you think Jed has learned, if anything, in his experience as owner? Because the team has just gone through a roller coaster since he's been there.
Poor Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Well, I would say what Jed learned is, hey, Jim, let's sit down and work this out. That's what I think Jed learned. Now, clearly, when you own a team, you have the right to make choices as to who your coaches can be, who your general manager is. And there's no shortage of opinions, and those people that know Jim Harbaugh, he can be a difficult personality. But I would say, is Jim Harbaugh any more of a difficult personality than Bill Belichick? And, the Kraft family, well-respected, good people, and you look at the job that Belichick has done, he has not a lot of smiles on his face, not a lot of personality. I think Harbaugh has much, more diverse personality than Belichick has, but he is one heck of a football coach, and I don't think you can argue. So is Jim Harbaugh. What really happened between Jim Harbaugh and Jed York? Everybody's kind of looking for what the mystery is, and I don't think it was any mystery. I think they weren't able to work it out, and boy, is this franchise suffering because of that.
Yeah, it is kind of sad. I mean, you think about it, the 49ers also had a lot of players retire, like Patrick Willis and, a number of other, Justin Smith, and, you can go to
injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
A guy like Navarro Bowman out of the team. But there's a cautionary tale here, guys. And the cautionary tale is, let's go back a few years and remember that moment where Joe Lacob was out on the court with Chris Mullen, Rick Barry.
Getting booed.
He was the most vilified, booed, unloved person in the Bay Area in sports, right?
Yeah. This is after he was firing Mark Jackson. Yeah.
And then he made some really good decisions, and he sort of extracted himself from the stage that he was on, and that led to Steve Kerr and Rick Welts and Bob Myers and Larry Riley's decision on Steph Curry and Jerry West. I was lucky enough to work with Jerry for 5 years in Memphis. Jerry West's decision not to trade Klay Thompson, Kevin Love, which, when the history is written, was a brilliant decision. And their guts and creativity to get AD. And now, Joe Lacob, I don't know the last time, he's bought a meal, a drink, or jet fuel anytime.
Well, it's interesting. We talk about trades, and sometimes it's the trade you don't make.
Yeah.
That's really big. I tell you what, to stay with us, Andy, see if you can stay with us one more. See if you can stay with us one more segment. We got to cut to a quick commercial break. Okay.
Right.
Who is the heaviest football player in NFL history?
Wow.
That's our question. All right.
Okay.
You got to email Edward at sportsecon101.com. We'll see if you know the answer to this. Who was the
I know the
heaviest-
answer.
Do you really?
Oh, I think I do. I think Andy knows too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'll be impressed.
I must admit, I don't know. I was going to come out with some snarky answer like heavy, like cool. Who is the coolest dude?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, he was not a wide receiver. Okay. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
All right.
I figured I got to give you a hint,
400 plus pounds?
Yes.
400 plus pounds?
Yep.
Holy moly.
Okay, not over 450, right?
Correct.
I was watching the game last night as you were, Andy, and I'm looking at the sidelines when they had shots of Vince Wilfork, and I forgot that guy looks.
Yeah, he was big.
He looks like a Mack truck. Holy moly.
Amazing.
I love trivia questions because I ask them in my class and all that. Like, I'll ask you one. How many NBA players, as of early this year, have scored 50 or more points in a game?
How many in the history of the
In the
NBA?
history?
Not duplicated. From 1947 to
Wow.
Oh,
How many?
gosh. I mean, because Wilt did it a few times.
Yeah, it's got to be probably.
okay, Kate, you got no clue.
I'm going to say several dozen.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, several dozen.
If I said 129.
Different players?
Wow.
109.
Wow.
Never would have guessed that high.
Well,
Yeah.
do you know how many Warriors have done it?
Well, let's see. Rick Barry, of course, KD.
13.
13. Wow.
Sleepy, Purvis.
Purvis. I forgot about Purvis.
Sure.
Think of names like Dana Barrows.
Dana
Oh,
Barrows.
yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's one of my favorite questions.
Purvis Short, by the way, one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet.
Terrific.
Just a terrific guy.
100.
Yeah.
I could be wrong because I haven't checked this year, but as of the end of last season, 128.
Wow. I never.
Okay, but how many players have scored at least 100 points?
How many players have scored 90 or more points in a game?
That's a good question.
Well, wait a minute. Okay.
Have there been?
Kobe did 81.
Kobe did 81.
And Wilt did 100, but I don't remember anything but in between 81 and 100.
Bingo. Zero.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero.
All right.
David Thompson went for 80, and one other.
Yeah.
There's one. I think 3 have been in 80.
Yeah.
What did they used to call David Thompson? Used to call David Thompson with the Skywalker. Was that his nickname?
Oh yeah, and wow.
Oh, I'm thinking David Robinson.
Yeah.
David Robinson.
Yeah, not David Robinson.
Not David Robinson.
Who had like a 98
Gotcha.
vertical.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The
Wait. What was it? It's vertical?
This 98 inches?
No,
No.
He was David Thompson, North Carolina State, and he poked himself out of.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The terrible croquet problem.
But he didn't have
Wow.
98-inch vertical.
No.
Okay, ready? And then we'll get into a little croquet because I got this story to tell you. Okay, here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our second trivia question. Who was the heaviest football player in history and in NFL history? And I gave a hint that it was not a wide receiver. I'll give you another hint. It was not a punter.
Well, that's pretty
How's
obvious.
that? Is that pretty good?
I'm going to guess William.
It was a sumo
Sumo wrestler.
football player
There you go.
named Konishiki.
Yeah.
Kobayashi.
I'm going to say it was William the Fridge Perry.
No, I don't know if he ever hit 400. He
Okay.
was close to
Who was it?
A guy named Aaron Gibson.
Never
I
heard.
don't remember him.
Never heard him.
He played for the Lions, Cowboys, Bears, and Bills from 2001 to 2007.
Well, there you go. He
At
moved around a lot.
How much did he weigh?
410 pounds.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still alive. 410 pounds.
410
Wow.
pounds.
Yeah.
Probably a pretty tall guy, too, I would think. Carry that kind
Yeah, he definitely got
Oh.
No, he was 5'6". He played the right side of the line.
Yeah.
Oh, we were just talking off air about Vince Wilfork, who was watching the Raider game the other night. He's now playing with Houston. That guy just looks like a truck. He's massive. Can you imagine carrying that much weight around?
Large human being.
How do you get the clothes to wear? That's what I want to know. You have to go to a special store and order them, not easy to
For all
do.
your other clothes.
There are those stores around the country
That's true.
for NBA players
Yeah.
and pro athletes. Literally, every major city has one.
So it's called Big and Bigger, Tall and Taller.
Well, there was Rochester's here
Yeah.
in San Francisco. I used to, because I'm 6'6", and I used to have to buy
Are you not
shirts.
6'6"?
Yeah. And I
You keep
always.
growing every time I ask you.
Well, I used to see athletes in there, and I remember there was a guy, the chief salesman there was a guy named Forrest Pritchard, who used to sing the third stanza of the national anthem. You remember that, Andy, at the Warrior
I
games? Yeah, very nice man.
Okay, so we're going to off air. Before we were talking about croquet. of all
Seriously?
things. Okay, so I got a little
Seriously?
Seriously.
Okay.
So I have a quick little story.
Okay,
So if you guys know up in Napa, the Meadowood,
sure.
that's like the only croquet. It's like
Yeah.
a professional croquet course.
I have been to Meadowood, and I have seen the croquet players because there's an executive golf course at Meadowood, which is a tough
Yes,
That's
nine.
right. Yeah.
And I have purposefully hit a wedge into the croquet at Meadowood.
You did? Just to see what reaction you get?
Well, the thing is, you have to wear white. That's part of the
Yeah.
rules. You have
Really?
to wear white. Yeah. So we brought our daughter, who was I think 7 years old at the time.
This is an English game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so. And so, it'd been so many years since I played, so they have a professional guy out there to kind of show you how to do it, right?
Red beard, all white, and his croquet hat. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And so he, we were trying to, because I couldn't remember all the rules and stuff like that, right? And so we get to this one part where we're completely at one end, and at the other end, because of how, I guess maybe I hit my daughter's ball way to the other end or something, right? He says, okay, well, he's teaching her. He says, well, what you need to do is you got to hit it pretty hard, and you got to go through those two wickets and then hit the stick. And she did it.
Wow.
I mean, it was just a lucky shot, but she must have hit it like
Wow.
35 or 40 feet.
Wow.
No, it had to be more than that. It had to be maybe
You inspired her.
65 or 70 feet. Yeah,
you
I
was-
couldn't believe it. We're watching this thing go and go and go, and it's like it goes through two wickets and it hits the
Now,
stick.
see, Andy did that every day.
Is that a sticky wicket or is that a sticky wicket?
Sticky wicket.
Right?
Yeah.
They have all these terms which I never understood, but I was barred from the croquet court having white.
After that, I bet
for
you
the
were.
wedge.
I got to ask you, the way I got to know Andy was when he was working with the Oakland A's in the front office with the Haas family, and Sandy Alderson was there, and Tony La Russa, and you had so many great players like Stewart and Eckersley and Henderson. What was it like promoting that team? It almost seemed like you didn't have to promote them because they were so dynamic and successful, and plus Eckersley and Ricky Henderson and Dave Stewart were all from the community, so they were proud.
Lansford.
Yeah, Carney Lansford. He was in. Yeah. What was it like working with that team?
It's ironic in that I was emceeing an event a few weeks ago, and Robert Haas, one of Walter's three children, was part of the program. And you know the incredible work that they've done over decades at the University of California. I mean, the Haas Business School, the Haas Pavilion, how supportive they've been to environmental causes. And when I first met Walter Haas in 1980, when I came out here from New York, actually Washington, D.C., I was working for Madison Square Garden, and Walter Haas explained to me how he wanted the team to be run. Roy Eisenhart, as you remember, his son-in-law and Wally were running the team at that time, the late 80s, the late 70s, the team was nowhere. It's a triple-A team when Charlie Finley kind of pulled it apart. And Walter said, this is a public trust. We serve our fans. That's what we're about.
I like that.
That's what I think some ownerships have forgotten. And I think John Fisher, to a certain extent, could learn from the Haas family, because Walter said, you know, think of us like a library. Think of us as a museum. Think of us as an art gallery, the ballet, the symphony. We're owned by the fans. Our job is to provide the best possible entertainment, best possible baseball team. And then, as you said, Bruce, I mean, and there were a lot of other people. Steve Page, who's the president of Sonoma Raceway, Alan Ledford, who's the president of one of the most successful AAA teams in the country in El Paso, David Rubenstein, Mickey. I mean, we had an all-star of great people, both on the baseball side. You mentioned Sandy. Billy Bean was learning how to be a general manager early in that time. But it was us of the heart and soul of Walter Haas. It was the ownership vision of what a team should be that I will always remember. I worked for 9 different owners in sports. I will never, ever will have worked for one as incredible as Walter Haas and his family.
See, I appreciate that, because it's like he's looking and saying, look, I'm just a steward of this team.
Exactly.
You know, it's like I own real estate, and I look at my tenants as, I mean, yeah, I own the building, but I'm very, very appreciative when they pay their rent, because they're paying my mortgage. So you treat them well. It's along the same lines, you know. You don't.
And because you will, you know, we're not wishing you to go quickly, but we'll all be turning to dust, and these entities will last for years and years and years. And we started talking about these venues that now cost billions of dollars. If you don't build a heart and soul in that venue, and you look at what the Niners are suffering now. Now, large part is because they're 1-9. But Levi's has not been accepted as a quality place by a lot of people. You know, will that change over time? I think it will. But just because you build some shining venue in glass and steel and restaurants and cool stuff and valet parking, that doesn't mean you are touching the heart of your fan base.
You know what's neat also about that team, though, too? We mentioned just in passing some of the names. You had some really fun, colorful characters on that team. I mean, Dave Stewart just wore his heart on his sleeve. I'll never forget his retirement speech. He was literally crying, and he had all of us in the media crying, because he was talking about how much he gave to the game. And then you had Bob Welch, who would, you know, wear his heart on his sleeve. And Jose Canseco was off the wall, but he was fun to talk to. Ricky Henderson always spoke of himself in the third person. I mean,
who would have ever thought that Jose Canseco, when all said and done, was the most truthful guy about the steroids?
Good point.
Baseball, right?
Yeah.
And you had, you know, a tough guy in Tony La Russa as an on-field manager, but all the people surrounded him. And that's what true teamwork is like. We had so many different personalities, from Ricky to Stu to Eck to Tony to, you know, I mean, we had it all on that team. Dave Barker, Hendu. It was a wonderful time. And, you know, I hope the A's get their act together, and, you know, that Chris Davis stays with this team and isn't on the block, and that Sonny Gray is, you know, winning 20 games again, because this argument that they can't afford these players is just not a factual
It-
argument.
It's interesting you mentioned Tony La Russa. I will say one thing about Tony. I always got along with him great, but he just did not like talking to the media if they lost a game. You'd walk into his office and you'd sort of tiptoe in there and he'd be staring up at a TV up in the corner. And all the writers always asked me, or they kind of expected me to ask the first question. So I would get my question asked, maybe one or
like Helen Thomas, right?
Yeah,
White House press corps.
exactly. I'd ask my question.
So Tony loved that because there was a twinkle in his eye, almost like Harbaugh to a certain extent, different personality.
Yeah.
But Tony, at one time, his email address was below, like Tony at the low, because that's how he looked at himself. Because I am alone.
I am alone. Well, I just remember asking him this one question, and I was kind of hesitant, and I can't remember what it was I asked, but it was something I knew that was going to elicit a negative response. He looked up at me and snapped, and he says, "You're better than that, Bruce. You're better than that. Next question."
Yeah.
And I just shriveled. I mean, I literally shriveled into the background.
He's a lawyer too.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, you did not want to get on his bad
So,
side.
Andy, you still stay in touch with Billy Bean?
I do not. Although Billy is a fisherman, I'm a fisherman. I've been fairly critical of the A's. Actually, there's a op-ed in today's Bay Area News Group that I've written about the A's news of last week. And so, no, Billy and I guess I'm not going to get invited to the opening night VIP reception.
Well, I was hoping you could put in a good word for me because I told him I could throw in the high 60s in case he needed a relief pitcher, but
Yeah.
he doesn't have a sense of
Your
humor for that.
analytics and metrics are not looking good.
No.
And I happen to believe, I mean, the job that Billy has done has been terrific, but I still think that the ability of scouts in every sport to see players picked in the 17th round or undrafted is the perfect, antidote to all the analytic and metric BS that exists today.
Yeah, it's a fun time. We're talking sports with Andy Dolich, a longtime front office person who was worked in not only Major League Baseball, but we mentioned the NFL and soccer too. You worked in the Washington Diplomats.
Lost a great man last year when Johan Cruyff, one of the 5 greatest players of all time, the Dutch national, the man who created the Clockwork Orange for the Netherlands, passed away.
Yeah, that was a shock.
He played out his career with the Diplomats, truly, larger than life figure.
I covered a lot of.
I'm lucky. I've been a very lucky person to have worked in this industry and interact with millions of fans over 50 years.
Well, the thing that sets you apart, though, Andy, is not only do you know what you're doing and you have a passion for it, but you just seem to want things to go better for you. Not only, I mean, I think this is a natural thing. You want your organization to win, but it seems like you want to impart some wisdom. I noticed that you mentioned in passing you do some teaching now, too.
Yeah, I'm doing work at the University of San Francisco. They've had an excellent sports management program for a number of years, and we've created a new program as part of that, a master's program, 100% online in the business of collegiate sports, which is becoming ultra complicated. And I also am able to teach some courses at Stanford School of Continuing Studies. Last one was how the Warriors became golden from a business standpoint, and before that, Super Bowl 50 meets Silicon Valley. This summer, I'll be teaching one on So You Want to Work in Sports.
That's great. Hey, Andy, we do have to cut to our last commercial break, and it's been a pleasure having you on Sports Econ 101. We'll definitely have to have you on again, okay?
Gentlemen, always enjoy it. Great Thanksgiving, and let's win some more championships.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Andy.
Okay.
All right, here's our last trivia question. In golf, what do you call a score of 4 under par? Think about that. Okay, you got an eagle, a double eagle, and this is 4 under par. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Okay, just tell the guys that. Give me just 2 minutes.
So yeah, birdie is 1 under par. An eagle is
birdie.
So birdie is 1 under par. An eagle is 2 under par.
Yeah.
A double eagle is 3 under par. And a triple eagle. Yeah, there you go. Triple eagle.
You may guess that if you want.
I really like Andy. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy, yeah.
He'd be great. He'd be great to do a show like the kind of show we're doing on a regular basis. He's very opinionated.
Yeah. He's got a lot of good information.
Oh yeah. If I owned a pro sports team, I would hire that guy in a heartbeat. I would, if he wanted to work. I don't think Andy wants to work in pro sports anymore, though.
Well,
I think he'd rather consult. Well, he's a little bit older than me, but he's probably like 67. But I think he enjoys consulting, and he also really likes to teach.
Gotcha.
He really enjoys teaching.
Oh, I love teaching too.
Yeah, isn't it fun?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go around to the local high schools and offer my services next year,
Sure.
just part time. Create like a public speaking.
Yes.
Broadcasting kind of a thing.
Oh, they'd love that.
I'm just going to go to the local high schools because they have so much money around here. I mean, they do.
Okay, just close this baby.
Close this baby out. Yeah. Then you get into your second show. Yeah. Here we go.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here was our last trivia question. In golf, what do you call a score of 4 under par?
Well, let's see. 4 under par.
On a given hole.
Okay.
Right? 'Cause
Well,
you have
birdie, eagle, double eagle, triple eagle.
Well, one would think that, but that's not the technical term.
No. Hole in one.
Well, basically, yeah, that would be it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in theory you could get a 2 on 6,
that's true.
but that would be
That's
really
true.
hard. But basically, yeah, you'd be getting a hole in one on a par 5,
Right.
which would be, probably hits off a couple of buildings and a stork takes it and drops it in
There you go.
a condor.
A condor.
That's the
I've never heard.
never
That's
heard
a
that
good
term?
one. That's a good one. I like that.
But can you imagine getting a hole in one on a par 5?
You'd have to really strike the ball hard.
Yeah, and it didn't roll down.
I got a hole in one in miniature golf. Does that count? Does that count?
It absolutely does. I'm sure it wasn't a par 5 though.
No. It was like a par 20 yards.
Yeah, I did actually get a hole in one on a 165 yards.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you know immediately, or did you?
I did only because the sun was starting to go down and the ball rolled, and then the people on the tee, how they're coming back. Guy jumps up and it's in the hole. It's in the hole.
It's in the hole.
And sure enough, I go there and there it was.
Bill Murray. It's in the hole. It's in the hole. What was that movie where he said that? Anyway, that was.
Caddyshack?
Caddyshack.
Okay.
Good movie, yeah. Rodney Dangerfield?
No, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Give no respect.
Give no respect.
Thoughts for the day. One man practicing sportsmanship is far better than 100 teaching it, said Newt Rockney.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah.
And Phil Jackson said, approach the game with no preset agendas, and you'll probably come away surprised at your overall results. Not bad.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, Bruce, want to thank you again for joining us here.
Have a great holiday.
Absolutely.
And all our listeners, have yourself a safe turkey holiday.
Well, actually, this is going to air on Saturday.
Well, hopefully they haven't eaten too much turkey.
Too much turkey, exactly.
So they're awake listening to this.
Yeah.
Guys, what is it? Tryptophan?
Tryptophan.
That makes you sleepy. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, giving away more free advice.
I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
All right.
There we go.
There you
Thank
go.
you, sir.
Another one bites the dust.
Yes, have a very
What is
nice.
this? Kevin Bacon, it says here.